Welcome to our pod, and by that I mean on Wednesdays we read. I'm Hannah.
I'm Laura.
And we are two best friends who do a deep dive into a new book series, one book at a time, except when we are doing a live taping
Recording
at Dead Bird Brewing and
with all of our book friends.
Pop.
Yes.
We hope you're having a great time and that you're swapping books or purchasing from the Friends of the Library book sale going on. Please give them all some love.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we are here to discuss The Courtship of Princess Leia by David Farland. A book.
Dave Wolverton, correct?
Oh, Dave Wolverton.
Dave
correct.
Wolverton. Dave Wolverton.
I don't know where I got Farland from.
You know what? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
This book came out in 94.
This book came out in 94. It is, in fact,
not canon. So do we care as much?
Well,
yes, we still do. But
Laura, can I tell you before we do a deep dive into this book and all of its intricacies leading up to Leia and Han getting married?
Shocker. What?
What is your experience with Star Wars?
So my experience with Star Wars is that I love it. I love it a lot. I grew up watching just the original trilogy, and a couple years back, I got back into Star Wars and decided to watch all of the
You decided
media
to become a super fan.
Yes, I decided to dive in deep. As one will know, as a Gemini trait, just go full force with a hobby, except this one lasted longer than 2 weeks.
It did.
And if you look over in the corner, I am fully decked out in my Star Wars gear. I have a New Republic hat in the bag, just in case people are questioning my loyalties. So I've got all the gear now. I've watched, I think, all of the stuff that's out there currently.
Okay.
But as far as the books, I have not read a lot. So I know that there are canon and legends books. This is actually delving into more of the legends territory, I've learned. So this is kind of like alternate timeline situation.
Well,
but we'll get into it.
This should have been canon, but Wolverton was supposed to make a trilogy, and then he made one book. So
yeah, and then they kind of decided we don't want to go farther with this. Which, okay.
We're done with this matriarchal society analysis. It's just
it's two matriarchal societies in one universe. Too much. But
they weren't ready.
Then again, there are some interesting things happening within these societies.
Yes.
But we'll get into it. Hannah, what is your relationship with Star Wars?
So my relationship is not as detectable as yours. I specifically have seen all of the original films. 1 through 9. I saw the final 3 in theaters. I think I saw but my experience is actually watching episodes 1 through 3 first.
Sure.
I had never
the
seen the other trilogies until I went into college. And I can tell people that I famously don't really watch too much boy media. I never want to gender something, but I call it boy media because I grew up in a female-dominated household.
A matriarchal society, if you will. And I only ever watched rom-coms, and I famously have never seen a full Indiana Jones movie to its end because I either fall asleep or I get bored and leave. I mean, that makes sense. Okay.
And so
you're telling me that this is like a breath of fresh air to read the romance is The Courtship of Princess Leia.
Laura, it may have been my favorite Star Wars feature I have ever...
Favorite Star Wars property yet?
Yes.
Wow.
Everything I've consumed.
High praise.
I think I liked this one the most.
Wow. High praise.
Because
considering all the 1-star reviews on Goodreads.
Also, because I can remember it. Because I am not someone who remembers Star Wars. We did a TV Tuesday on Andor. Season 1.
Masterpiece.
I only remember Mon Mothma because
yep.
You love her so much.
Yes.
And so she imprinted on me. That is the only thing I have retained from
That is
Andor.
my big recommendation for today. Everybody go and watch Andor Season 2, specifically Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma. Perfect.
I'm sure we'll cover it soon. But
yes,
I'm someone who can't really remember what happens in Star Wars films. I don't know why. It's nothing against them. I understand that they are art. They're just unfortunately not my
territory of... when it's something that I like deeply enjoy, though, Hannah has this like block where she's like, no, I must not enjoy.
That's Laura's thing. It's not my thing. I can't enjoy it.
Yeah, it's your youngest child coming out.
But like I said, small spoilers, I liked this book. I thought it was a romp.
It was so fun and perfect timing for Valentine's Day to talk about the greatest love story ever told, in quotes, similar to a la Wuthering Heights.
And a question of Do you find your true love after you kidnap them?
Do you have to hold someone
Hostage.
Yes.
Say
Do you
you
have
are
to
my
hold someone
slave.
hostage or make them a slave in order to have a love story? That is the question today.
And we will answer that by the end of this podcast.
Yes, and honestly, yes, that's how love stories pan out.
My
what
husband
we
is
learned.
in the audience, and that is how we met. So
Yes.
but
Yes.
before we again get into it, Laura, what are you reading, watching, and or enjoying right now?
So Hannah, I've been sick recently and I watched a ton of movies while I was sick. And one of them I watched was a childhood favorite of yours.
It was.
And I was unsure while I was watching this if this was actually the movie or if I was in such a feverish state that I was mixing up what was happening. But the movie is a Jim Henson darling, Labyrinth.
Yes, you had never seen the Labyrinth.
I had
before.
never seen Labyrinth before.
I have
Never.
brought the Labyrinth to so many people in this audience, actually. I have brought the Labyrinth to
Amazing.
at least 5 people who have watched it because I forced them to. And I'd like to think that you're one of them. We also have a friend in the audience who loved it just as much as I did.
You know what? I love Jim Henson and I love like anything involving Muppets. Maybe that is somewhat of my tie to Star Wars as well. But Labyrinth was another level that I could not explain.
It's right up there with Dark Crystal, if you think about it, though.
It is very reminiscent of Dark Crystal. And I think they were like right around the same time,
Yeah.
too.
I think they were kind of his back-to-back flops, and
Sure.
he felt very
They
frustrated
have
by
a
that.
really like deep cult following now, though. People really love Labyrinth.
I have a t-shirt that says, "You remind me of the Babe." So, it's an important part of my culture.
I will say I loved the music.
Such good music.
It was really good music. I also I thought that the little Muppets were quite cute. I know that they're supposed to be like you're supposed to not like the demons and the Demon King. I really liked their vibes. I thought they were cute and
delightful because my sister-in-law famously said I was terrified of at what puppets could be after she watched the Labyrinth.
you know what? Maybe my taste is off. I thought they were pretty cute.
That's good.
I did think though, is it Sarah, the main
Sarah.
character? She's really got a warped worldview of what's going on in her household. That girl has an awesome room. She gets to like cosplay all day and nobody like says anything to her. They're just like, yeah, she's off cosplaying. It's totally cool. And then she comes back and she's like, I am the most mistreated teenager alive, which is not true.
Again, she is 14. So I do think she is an accurate level of 14-year-old drama of the world is over.
Dialed up a little bit.
That's fair. She is trying to get her baby stepbrother kidnapped, or not stepbrother, half brother kidnapped at the beginning of the film.
She succeeds. And then, you know what? He looks like he's really having a fun time jamming out with David Bowie and all the Muppets to the point where I was like, maybe she should just end her quest because it looks like he's having way more fun with them.
Maybe you're a terrible babysitter and David Bowie.
The way that he cried so much when she was trying to get him kidnapped bothered me on a deep level. And I was actually very glad when he was kidnapped because then they like started singing and jamming out and they were like having the best time. And I was like, yeah, he's better off with the Demon King and he enjoys that babysitting situation much more than Sarah.
Did you love the way that David Bowie said cruel? Because that's one of my favorite moments in history.
I didn't notice a difference.
Thinks that he goes cruel and he like,
I did not notice that. I was a little, maybe I was too distracted by his pants.
Yeah.
Because
him defying gravity a la Wicked.
Yes. The pants though, I feel like they decided, oh, David Bowie, we will have you in this Jim Henson masterpiece, but we will just find some pants out in the alley that we will have you wear.
Junk forward acting choice.
Absolutely. I think that is true. And I think they just didn't consider how thin those pants were.
Yeah.
And you know what? Coulda, shoulda, woulda, and they really should have.
But again, it lives down in history for many reasons, and David Bowie's pants is actually one of them. So,
you know what? It's going to be cemented into my brain. That's for sure. But the other thing I've been enjoying, I just started reading The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter.
We could have been failing to buddy read that. I want to read it so bad.
Well, get started because I'm almost 100 pages in. I think I'm like 60 pages in actually, so I'm lying. I'm at like 60 pages in, but it is action right from the beginning.
Oh no.
So if you like dragon riders and action and a lot of politics, I think you will enjoy this. So I don't have too much to say at this point because I'm not this huge book that's like 500 plus pages. So I'm just a little of the way in, but really liking it so far. So dive in if you
Okay.
are
I'm reading
into
another
political
500
intrigue,
plus
all of this.
page book right now, so I'm gonna have to finish that and like zoom into that one.
Yes.
So
Well, Hannah, what are you reading, watching, and or enjoying?
you have long book. I have short stories. I
Yeah.
read Friday Black by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah.
Okay.
This is a short story discussion of race in a kind of dystopian world. There's different discussions, but he is a Black author. This is highlighting Black people in this book. And I really liked this. Like I said, they all have a flair for dystopian. So there is like Friday Black is named after Black Friday.
Okay.
And there are a couple different short stories that take place in a mall where shoppers are zombies during Black Friday and just want to buy all the
okay.
merchandise. And it's really trippy. It's really cool. I like it quite a bit. It also has stories about people who are suffering in the face of not seeing justice and taking it into their own hands. It has a story about a group of people who relive the same day together over and over and over again.
Ooh, I love
and
that.
it's like it's kind of like Groundhog Day 1,000 years in the future
Okay.
if everyone was involved. And so there's just it
And
doesn't
better, probably like there's no like groundhog driving a truck off of a cliff
doesn't-
down and then like the
Yeah.
explosion type situation.
yes,
Probably
exactly.
none of that nonsense.
No, but it does drive into like the darker side of watching people relive the same day and how they may experience it in different ways. And it really goes hard. There were certain
Sure.
sentences that gave me the creepy crawlies, but I really recommend this book. I think it's amazing. And I will probably be swapping it. If anyone wants to swap with me while
okay.
we're recording, it'll be up here or I will move it to
Yeah,
the table.
please come over to our table in the corner. We are the people who are over here next to the bar in kind of a inverse of between two ferns.
Between
We
said
have
we were
two
definitely
ferns between
two
us,
ferns.
so-
Yes, we do have two ferns in between us,
Yes.
so we are two ferning it up here.
Yes.
You want the short story, Friday Black, I do highly recommend it. And then
Yes.
enjoying, Laura, I watched a movie that I then recommended to you during your
Yes.
flu state, and it was Bottoms. The movie
What a
was
movie.
a very zany comedy about two women who start a rumor that they went to juvie and then they start a fight club because that is the only way to do that.
Two women. These are two high
They're
schoolers.
high schoolers, which makes some of their actions a little
Yes.
bit less
It makes me
reprehensible.
feel better about it knowing that they're supposed to be high schoolers. If these were two adult women doing this, wild. It's
also-
still wild with the high schoolers.
I also do see this very much as a Gen Z comedy, which means it is not for us.
You know what? I liked it actually.
I did like it, but
but-
it's zany.
It's like whiplash from going from like laughing very hard to immediately thinking, oh, well, that was quite sad.
Well, and some of the things they do, you're sitting there and you're like, oh, girl, stop. Like, you can't turn away
Yeah.
from this. You can't turn back from it. But they do have amazing actors. I've seen a lot of TikToks of the guy who was in Red, White, and Royal Blue
Okay.
as the football player, where
Yeah.
they're like, he is an artiste because he can deliver two very different performances.
Sure,
So,
sure.
but I liked Bottoms. I thought it was good. It was just like very much zany
You know what?
and
Ao
very
Debris, I
whiplash-y.
just love Ao and everything.
I love Ao. She's amazing.
I love the bear, so like
You do love the bear.
Chef's Kiss.
Chef's Kiss. I enjoyed seeing her in like more of a queer role. I think she takes on more queer roles, so I thought
Yeah.
that was like a good thing to watch her in.
Yeah.
And I think she was like heavily involved in the creation of it, so it's also fun to see her art, not her like acting. things. I think
Sure.
she is a veritable force of someone who's working in the industry right now. So I
It's
did
also
enjoy it.
very much a movie that's like taking jabs at other movies of the same genre.
Yes.
And you have to kind of be paying attention a lot to pick up on a lot of the lines. And when I was sick, I'm sure I was missing a lot of them. But wow.
I mean, I
What a
think I was
movie.
missing a lot of them too. My husband was like lying on his back, also ill. So like I've only
Sure.
watched this with people who are sick. So
Okay. Well, I mean, you have a vibe for that then.
I also recently watched Man in the Iron Mask again. Have you ever seen that?
No, I have not.
It is a continuation of Three Musketeers. I did this for a double feature with my sister-in-law, and she did not know anything about the Three Musketeers. She was very confused because the original is about the Three Musketeers and a man named D'Artagnan. And
Okay.
so there are in fact four musketeers because he becomes a musketeer at the end of the novel.
Okay. Okay.
This is a real thing. And so Man in the Iron Mask, they introduce you to D'Artagnan and two of the other musketeers. So halfway through, I was like, well, D'Artagnan's not an original musketeer. And she's like, he's
Sure.
not. He was with the three.
Sure. Sure.
And she did say, and I quote, John Malkovich is an original musketeer, which was a beautiful line.
Yes,
that
yes, yeah.
He was an original musketeer. It just was. But I also, have you seen the original 1993 version of Three Musketeers?
You know what? I don't think I have.
Oh my gosh, Laura, it's on
My
Disney
experience
Plus.
with Three Musketeers is like the candy. So
Oh.
yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with
So
the
Three
book.
Musketeers was a movie I grew up with, and I remember thinking Charlie Sheen was very cute in it.
Sure.
R.I.P. normal Charlie Sheen.
Okay.
But it was a romp of a movie. It has Chris O'Donnell and the most beautiful woman on screen as a queen of France. And she is married to a man that they decided to make period accurate with like a wig. And I remember
Okay,
being like,
okay.
why is she interested in that man? Why are they married?
Right,
That doesn't
right.
make sense to me. And I wanted her to end up with Chris O'Donnell, who was the D'Artagnan character in the
Yeah.
movies. And then Man in the Iron Mask is a continuation of that 1993 version. I don't know if it's canon, but they're made from the same Alexander Dumas series. And it does beg the question, what if you need two Leonardo DiCaprios because one of them is evil?
I mean, we always need multiple
And
DiCaprios.
one of them is in a mask, but he's good. And
Yeah, this sounds a little bit like a princess switch situation, is it?
it's probably one of the original princess switcheroos.
Netflix, you are always
Switching
stealing
them
ideas.
princesses.
Mhm.
So I recommend watching them because they are romps. And I think I grew up loving these movies and then watching
Okay.
them as an adult. Man in the Iron Mask is definitely a better film, but Three Musketeers has my heart because
Okay. You know what? Next time I'm sick, I'll go
No,
ahead
yeah.
and watch those.
yeah, I've been enjoying all of those things. But should we dive in to the courtship?
The quote unquote greatest love story ever told.
Well, I put in my synopsis, this is the marriage book for Leia and Han Solo, which is a shock when you hear the rest of the plot. That is how I started with my notes.
You know, all love stories start out in this way, where we have someone who is incredibly jealous and another person who's trying to save the universe.
Can we also, though, discuss the fact that Han Solo in the beginning of this is nothing like the character in the movies? Because he's sitting there like Leia comes on screen and she's like, hey, I'm busy with all the diplomacy of multiple galaxies. Like,
Yes.
and he's like, I miss you too. And you're sitting there like, well, Han, she is busy. Like,
Yeah. So we're kind of thrown in like right after the events of the movie.
it's 8 years
The
after the
movies.
movies.
Yes.
Yes,
So
I watched videos on this so I could understand.
yeah. So we're meant to believe, just like as movie watchers, that, you know, there's always things tied up with a neat little bow, that as soon as Vader and the Empire were gone, that everything should have been nice. But this kind of digs into that it's more complicated.
Yes.
And so Princess Leia, she's going out and about and she's like, you know what? I'm going to solve those universe's problems. And Han Solo is like, well, I miss you, so that's awfully rude.
How dare you? So we do start it with Han on a mission, being successful, and he does miss Leia. He goes to
Yeah.
see her, and in the midst of this is a negotiation to get a group called the Hapens, a
Yes.
matriarchal society, part of the New Republic. And the Hapens are more like militaristic. They really
Yes.
believe
So-
in themselves.
And,
They,
and when we say a matriarchal society, like the connotation sounds good, but there's a lot of iffy things happening in this matriarchal society as well that I think it's worth pointing out,
yeah,
because we have a queen who's just like taking out all of her male relatives and everything, and a lot of iffy things going on.
he also inherently believes that if you are born royal, it is meant you're meant to rule. Which is
Yes.
not the case. And it does go back to something we talk about a lot in Wheel of Time series of like, are matriarchies equal to patriarchies? And if you put women in there, it's just a self-insert for what men would do,
Yeah.
not what women would do in certain scenarios. Not to say that there aren't multiple types of women or multiple types of people, but it did feel in this book that every matriarchal society we met was just patriarchy with women.
Yes.
Yeah. And so they're in negotiations, become part of the New Republic, and then they give Leia, what is it, 64 presents? Or
They just come out with like a ton of presents, like this big parade, and they're like, and here's our final present, a hot man,
a hot man who looks like Fabio,
Yeah.
according to
He is
Reddit.
delicious, and this is our last present for you. And she's like, what?
And-
I am in love.
He proposes to Princess Leia, and immediately Han is very sad. And Mon Mothma, Laura's favorite character, goes, I hope she takes.
She's like, you know what? I'm all about politics. And it tracks for her character that she would be like, you know what? Throw away your family and your true love in order to save the
We've seen
universe.
a lot of discourse that Leia and Mon Mothma in this book are actually the two like feminist representations
Yeah.
because they're a little bit more diplomatic. They're thinking things through
Yes.
until, of course, Leia gets controlled with a mind control gun and then says, "Never mind, I've loved you all along,
Until
Han."
she just decides, I don't want to think anymore, and I just want to follow this man.
This one man. But yes, so Mon Mothma does take it. And this also leads to a couple of chapters of Leia taking this proposal seriously, but also doing the thing I hate in these types of novels, where she doesn't talk to Han about it as a reasonable human.
No. She just so she basically forgets totally about their relationship that they had all this time. And she's like, you know what? He won't understand, so I can't talk to him.
And she's like, "Leave the room, Han. How dare you have feelings about our 8-year relationship?" We're like, Han is very upfront with Isildur, where he's like, "Hey,
Yes.
we are in a romantic relationship here." And she could have an adult conversation with him about it of like, "Hey, this isn't about us, this is about politics.
Right.
Yes, we've been in this relationship for 8 years, but I do have to take something like this here." She's like, "Han, I could love him."
Han, I think I'm in love. It is love at first sight. I do believe that.
I honestly thought there would be something at the end of the book where Luke was like, "Hey, Isildur was controlling your brain." And that never
happens because what we learn is actually hot man appears and you're in love.
That's a Veronica line. Hot man arrives, goodbye life choices.
Yes,
like that
absolutely.
is pretty much what happened. So we also do find Luke trying to find old teachings of the Jedi. He's battling
So he's doing like actual groundwork, trying to like build up a Jedi training facility, basically.
Yes.
And you would think that this would be the most important part of this novel. It is not. And then it becomes like
plot.
Weirdly entwined with the other things happening. And I stop caring about it.
But also at the beginning of this is me with my Star Wars history being very, very basic.
Yes.
They said he was battling white demons. And I was like, I think in an alien race, you might think of something better than white demons to call people. Like, just, you could call them animals. They probably had a name. We go on like long tirades describing what random beings are at a poker game. We could give people better names than white demons. So,
I mean,
it happens, but he finds some white demons. He finds a bunch of burned old videos. One of Yoda mentioning a random planet that totally won't pop up later.
A totally random place called Dathomir that, we learn
That's also
literally next chapter, I believe.
that again is in a non-canon novel that apparently becomes incredibly important in the Clone Wars. So,
I mean, Dathomir does appear in Ahsoka, the live action
okay.
series on Disney Plus too, and I'm pretty sure they'll be diving more into Dathomir there.
Okay.
But I believe it's in Rebels and Clone Wars. So,
Got it.
and Clone Wars peak Star Wars. Like everybody needs to watch that.
Okay. Then there is a lot of back and forth. Isildur is a former pirate and the second born after his brother was murdered. He thinks his aunts killed them.
Yeah, because we have like all this like background between like Han and Isildur like meeting up, and they're like, actually, we weirdly have a lot in common, except that Isildur is hot and Han is scruffy hot.
In my personal notes on this, I said, I actually think this is a romance between Isildur and Han because
you know what? A bromance for the ages.
It's romantic love. Like if you read about this, it's like, oh my gosh, you came swooping in. You're trying to steal my wife, the love of my life. And then he's like, but he is really hot. Like if you read how Han describes,
he is very like,
he is distracted by how beautiful Isildur is. And I honestly wanted that novel. I wanted a novel.
Tries to play that off though as like, oh, he's jealous, but I can totally see where you're getting that vibe, Hannah.
It felt like Han had a little crush.
Yeah.
That's all I'm seeing. And that's why I liked this novel.
So you're saying it's not paranoia. It is, in fact, love.
It is love. And they're together. But we also have Leia almost getting murdered, or is it Isildur? FYI, it's definitely Leia at the end of the book.
Leia has to be saved multiple times by men throughout this, to the point that further on in the book, we have to have people say, she's been saved by all these men. Let's list them so that we can get her freedom.
I do like that she finds this matriarchal society and she's like, I must spend my entire time releasing men by being like, don't worry, they saved me one time.
They saved me.
Except when she's like, well, Isildur maybe saved me, question mark. Like she doesn't actually know.
The other thing is they don't follow up on it, so it's fine.
So Han does feel her breaking up with him, and he does the only reasonable thing possible. He kidnaps her using a mind control gun
Yes.
and takes her to a planet he won for her and her
in a
people
card game.
in an underworld poker game.
Yes.
But the person who sold it to him, the planet, they said, "Oh, this is very livable." They were
A warlord?
lying.
What?
Yeah, they're lying. It's actually a planet that is overridden with former stormtroopers, a prison,
Yes.
and an evil crime boss in their galaxy named Zinj. And it's also overrun with a matriarchal group of women who have the Force, but they must be witches who cast spells and are shocked that Luke Skywalker can use the Force without words.
To the point where when they see him, they like hiss at him and
Lord,
everything.
Is
I hated
it-
that.
Is it modern feminism if the women are people who are located on a planet that they cannot leave and they think the Force is witchcraft and have no philosophical underpinnings, really?
I mean, this tracks. Yes. Yes. This
Just
sounds like
remember,
a feminist tale. Yes.
Feminism is Luke Skywalker teaching you what good and evil is.
Women gathering in a corner and hissing at a man.
God.
This sounds like a feminist tale.
Again, I did like this book, but they have never been off planet. That's why we don't know about them in the previous
Right,
books. They talk about how like other warlords would have been afraid of them, but they just left them alone for some reason. There's like a lot of hand waving on why this planet of women with the Force exists.
We're supposed to just overlook that, Hannah. You're thinking too hard about it. And Wolverton is like, don't think. Be like Leia.
Be like Leia. That's what happened to me. I got mind controlled, and now I like
Yes.
this book. But he also does find out that Yoda has been there. Chewie C-3PO, who they name SEE dash, and then they spell out 3PO.
3PO. Yes.
They also spell out R2D2, which is baffling. Is that canon that is what their name?
You know what? I have read another Star Wars book, and it is indeed spelled out. And I want to say in the comics that I have read, it is also spelled out as like 3PO and
Lord, that's the
R2
worst thing I've
ART.
ever heard.
Oh.
I don't
That's
care.
your least favorite part of the book. Really?
No, I mean, yeah, maybe. You know what? I'm just gonna say it
Interesting.
here. My least favorite part is the spelling of R2D2 and C-3PO. It is my least favorite.
Wild.
But Chewie, C-3PO, and Leia and Han are battling through the island. C-3PO sings a song that has the verse called Han Solo, What a Man Solo.
You know what? I will say, you were picking up on like a romance between Isildur and Han. I was picking up on 3PO and Han. They very much have like developed more of a friendship and possible bromance in this.
But at the end of the day, C-3PO just thinks that Han is a king now. And so he wants him to be like a ward, pretty much. Like,
He's trying to help Han because Han gives him the task of making him seem very appealing to Princess Leia.
yes.
He reveals like right before they take off that Han is this like secret king
Yes.
of Corellia, I believe.
Yes.
And Han is like all shy about it, like, oh no, I'm not a king. I'm not a king. Then he kidnaps Leia, and then he's like, look, I am totally a king. I'm totally buying into this. And I just was trying to keep that quiet because you know me, I like to keep secrets. I'm Han Solo. And 3PO is very much being his total wingman guy that he writes a song with like 5,000 verses.
He does write 5,000 verses. He has music accompaniment. And can I tell you my second least favorite thing of this novel? Out of the many, many, many things that Star Wars created with all of its like rabid fans, no one has set this song to music. Like,
You know what? The fans are busy giving 1-star reviews to Disney Plus shows that they don't like. They've got things on their they've got no time on their hands for this kind of thing.
They are on
videos,
Reddit, and that's it. And it's unfortunate.
You know what? They're on Reddit review bombing. They're review bombing on Rotten Tomatoes. They do not have time to actually delve into that.
But you know what happened when I was looking for this song was a lot of fan cuts to the writing solo song, the I'm riding solo,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
riding
yeah,
solo,
yeah, yeah.
with Han Solo as the primary target. And I did watch at least
Amazing.
2 of those
Amazing.
to see if we would finally get some Han
Sounds
Solo
like
lyrics.
The fans who put together like they're taking the hobbits to Isengard. Like they had to create another movie.
As someone who does think like, yeah, I get the Han Solo like love, I did find those funny because
Yeah.
like, seeing just fan edits to riding solo is very funny.
Yeah.
But I did say during this time, 3PO believes that Han is a king.
Yes.
So Luke and Isildur come to rescue Leia, and Luke kind of comes to stop
weirdly,
Isildur.
they're able to get there like super fast because they're like, we have better flying skills than anyone. Like no one
between
can fly
the two
as
of us.
fast as
We've
us.
got
Like
this.
Isildur is like secretly the best pilot
Luke
ever.
is like, hey, look, Han is my best friend. It seems like you two could really be a thing. I will
Yes.
get you to him.
And he's like, and I can sense our way here using the Force. So between the two of us, we will get there in like 3 seconds flat. And they do.
And they do. And then they run into one of the quote unquote witches, Tennille, who wants to force Luke into marriage, but he saves her so she can't.
Is it Temenial? Is that her name?
Tennille. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a hard time saying her name.
You know what? They're not normal names. Tenemiel, I think is her name.
Tennille.
Tenenial.
And so she instead forces Isildur as a slave, but it's okay because she gave him opportunities to escape.
Yes.
He just didn't know the rules, so he didn't
Right.
take her
He
up
didn't
on it.
understand the culture, so it's totally okay for her to just put him into slavery. Yes.
And
Makes
so
sense. Got it.
They all come together. They all have to battle the sisters who went to the dark side because, of course, they're on a world with the Force. There's good.
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
evil.
yeah.
And again, Luke Skywalker has to teach women what the battle between good and evil is.
He has to basically explain the Force and then
Kill someone
know
in
what?
anger. It is
he's
wrong,
the main
guys.
mansplainer here. He's like the true mansplainer of this novel, and it's not a good look for Luke, honestly.
It's not the greatest look for Luke Skywalker. And so, but whatever. He goes to keep fighting. Han sacrifices himself, reminding Leia that she did love him all of 2 weeks ago.
He like put a bomb on himself.
Yes, he brought a bomb to detonate to
Here's
make
my thing. Do you think he goes too extreme with some of these things? Like Han, like they give him a task, and then he's like, you know what? I need to prove myself to Leia, and he's like, how will I do that? I will strap a bomb to myself. And it's like, you know what? One step too far. You could have dialed this back slightly.
So my point is he did kidnap her using mind control. So he does have to make up for that.
Yeah.
And I do think sacrificing himself for her brother and herself instead of letting Isildur do it is kind of a good way to go about doing that.
Okay. And in turn, he also gains a lot of respect from Isildur.
Yes, he does.
Isildur, Aragorn's.
But of course, the evil
ancestor.
witches stop him from blowing everyone up. They end up fighting people. He ends up killing the crime boss Zinj.
Yes.
I keep calling him Hans because I
Hans,
always do
yes.
that. I once called Isildur Isadora, so this is just how I am with
Yes.
Star Wars characters. Zinj is someone who hates Han Solo because Han once beat him in a battle and said, "Kiss my Wookiee."
Which is basically like a kindergarten level insult. Kiss my Wookiee.
I mean, it's saying "kiss my friend" here.
He has literally a Wookiee right next to him.
He does have a Wookiee right next to him. And also another thing that I was bothered by in these books, because I have to bring up all the things that really bothered me in
Yes,
this romp
please
of
do.
a novel. I don't like that, like, there are certain people who understand the Wookiee language. Like, Han understands what Chewbacca is saying.
Yes.
Luke Leia understands what R2-D2 is saying. However, when those two are speaking, they still make it look like a film where it's like Chewie growled a little bit and Han is like, "Oh, Chewie." And I was like, we could understand the word.
Correct.
Did they just not want to give those two voices because like it's too much?
I think they're just trying to keep with the lore of it all that no one can understand and make it seem more cinematic, similar to the original 4, 5, 6 movies that people need that fondness. They don't want to actually know what R2 is saying, unfortunately.
And I'm obviously overthinking this because this is a Star
I
Wars
think you
novel
are.
written in 1994, but we are discussing it on a podcast. I do find it a little bit weird that you build this beautiful, beautiful world of all of these different beings and styles and da 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 da. But then, like, the only people we give humanity to and language to are the humans.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate.
It is quite unfortunate.
Because, like,
I mean, we do learn about like some other races in this, I think. Like there's like a reptilian race mentioned. We do also know about like the Gungans and things like outside of this
is
book.
Luke saying, "I want to save this world because a world has dignity and it has animals and it has life in it, so we should save it." So it does get some points back for me, but
I will
that
say though,
did bother me.
I do agree with you. It is wild that we can't actually like know in the text like what Chewie is saying, but we can learn that Chewie can rip the arms off of people.
Yes, he can rip the arms off of people. He is someone who has opinions. That's also like, because if you were like, okay, it's in the movie, but they'll be like, he growled in frustration. And I'm like, well, then let him have frustrating words. Like he is
Sure.
a key character and member of this, and we just kind of put him on like a sidekick who growls a little bit like a dog. Like
Yeah.
that is bothersome.
It is also mentioned that he had like a family too at one
Yeah,
point, because
that's
when we're getting towards the end here, like Han says something like, "Oh, I should be the one to sacrifice myself because Chewbacca has a family and I don't want to
well,
do
we
that to
put
him."
that in the Christmas thing.
Yes.
I've never seen the Christmas one, but I do know about it. I'm making
Yes.
fun of myself. I don't remember anything that happened in Andor, but I could tell you what happens in the Star Wars Christmas special.
Wild, Hannah. Wild choice.
I don't get to choose what stays in my brain. But anyway, so they save the day. Han says, "Kiss my Wookiee," and then immediately murders Zinj, which is again, not the same energy. Like,
but also like on par for the things that he has been doing in this novel.
that's fair. And then Isildur decides he's going to marry Tenenil.
Who, like, throughout most of this has been very like, I am going hard
Marry
for
Luke.
Luke Skywalker. And
I
Luke's
love
been
Luke
like, I'm a
Skywalker.
little shy, but she is muscular, so okay.
Final chapters, Tenenil spends a lot of time with Isildur where
Yeah.
they discuss the fact that she owns him.
Yes.
But again, it is canon in this novel that the way you find your spouse is by kidnapping them. So
Yes, and subjecting them to slavery. And there's a lot of like back and forth between the two of them on like what happens if they enter into a relationship.
Yes.
And yeah, then we get a little further and they are in a relationship and Mommy is not happy.
no, Mommy is not happy because we find out that Mommy, who is the queen of the Habens, tried to murder Leia because Leia had the audacity to be a pacifist.
Yeah.
And
wild premise.
And again, like this is a matriarchal society that's heavily built on like bloodline, which is icky.
Yeah.
And she says Tenenil is not enough of a queen to be able to do this.
Correct.
And
but also then Leia does have to like stand up and give this like weird speech about like, I am not a pacifist. And it's like, let's just be quiet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Mommy decides to approve because Tenenil has the Force and he's going to be strong and powerful.
He's going to be such an asset is what it turns out to be.
I do love Luke during this time took on Isildur as to teach him that he could be a force for good. Because again, Luke's only operative in this is I'm going to open a Jedi school.
He's like, I'm all about schooling and that's what I care about.
Good.
Yeah.
And so he puts his arm on Isildur and he goes, "Your firstborn will be a woman and she will be very powerful. And one day I may teach her."
Which he tells Temeniel that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That she's going to have a daughter and he may teach her. And I was like, you know what? Just let her find out in the ultrasound. I mean, I just don't know that we need to have that.
Right after we find out that Isildur's mom killed his brother. Like,
yes, that's what I was getting at earlier when I was like, we have this matriarchal society. Sounds good. Also, a lot of issues.
And then they go on, they get married. And then Luke finds out that Yoda had agreed to give the women of the world we were on,
Dathomir, yes.
thank you, the knowledge of the Force because they defeated the evil witches.
Yes.
And so he can now hopefully teach them all and he gets the teachings that were left on the island.
Yeah.
And then it ends with the wedding between Leia and Han that Luke is late for
Luke
no
is,
reason.
So Luke is supposed to be like the best man.
Yes.
And he comes
also,
in.
why isn't Chewie the best man? And why isn't Luke
I think he's
walking Leia down
he's
the aisle?
Leia's best man, I
Okay.
think.
But also, shouldn't he be like walking her down the aisle? Like they are
It's
siblings.
awfully rude of him to be late to the wedding. And then he just like comes in and he and Leia, they have this connection all throughout. And Leia's just like, I totally get it, bro. It's fine. You can be late to my wedding. And they share this smile. And I'm like,
sorry.
I would be so mad.
For a television series that is inherently tied to the fact that these two are twins, they don't talk about it very much. They're like, oh, they're connected. They have a special relationship. And I'm like, you can say they're siblings. We all know.
I think it's just because they waited too long to reveal that they were siblings. So a lot of times we're just going to pretend like we still don't know that.
Yeah. And so again, it ends with a wedding. C-3PO discovers Han is not king after all.
And he
Luke
tries to
shoves him in a
stop the wedding,
closet.
which is the best 180 ever, from creating a song, singing like thousands of lyrics about how wonderful Han Solo is, to then trying to stop the wedding because he finds out that like Han's grandfather actually was like a disgraceful person who was like trying to claim lineage to this planet.
Well, and then they kiss and they smooch and they're married.
And they give a cute
is the
smile and wink over to the camera, and it ends.
Laura, my first question, is this book a masterpiece?
This book is a masterpiece.
I had a great time. So like Here's the thing. I grew up on books from the 90s. Like I remember the Thoroughbred series. We've talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
In the first couple chapters, they're like, here's what you missed on the Thoroughbred series. And then you go into a book that has all the drama and none of the drama in the world. And this book brought me back to that time. And I
mean,
read it.
I am holding up this like beautiful little Bantam mass market paperback, and I miss books like this that were just like wild rides that were based off of TV shows or random things and multiple books in a series. I miss this type of book.
I famously read the J-Lo thriller book enough. Like I read the adapted version of that movie and was like, I want more. And then read the same thing that I could have watched with my eyeballs.
I did read in 94, hit the bestsellers list. Like it was a very popular book at the time in the 90s.
Well, so I did read that it was popular, quote unquote, but it was not as popular as the books that came before them. And they actually think that it's because the original cover looked romance.
You know what? This is not the original cover that is on the book. I have a different cover on.
Yeah.
Because I think this is like a reprint. But the original cover has like this beautiful like Princess Leia with her wedding gown and a lot of cleavage showing. And I think there's a Rancor in the back of that one too, because it's feature heavily on Dathomir that we have these women who are riding Rancors and all this. But I do see what you're saying that that probably did ruin a lot of the popularity.
They think it did. They said that because people saw it as a romance, it was not seen as one of the more popular ones, where all the books that came before it were super popular. And again, I said this was originally supposed to be a trilogy. They brought it down to a one book series. So like a lot got thrown into this like 400-page book.
Yeah, they decided we don't want Dave Wolverton. We want Timothy Zahn. We want Timothy Zahn.
Exactly.
And I get it. Like,
it is hard, and that does like frustrate me because it is the 90s, and like
I will
obviously
say
we're not
like
saying
this
anything
is
new.
romance. This is at its core a romance.
It is at its core a romance. I would say it's weird for if I were reading a book nowadays that was like the serialized version of, you know, Rey and Kylo Ren getting married.
Sure.
I would expect that to be like the opening and then something happens to stop the wedding. This shocked me a little because the end was the wedding.
The end was the wedding.
I expected a whole engaged novel, and they really just didn't go for that, which is a little shocking even in the 90s.
I mean, this is called The Courtship of Princess Leia, so I mean, it's right in the title, but I get what you're saying, that maybe there would be like more of like we know this is the end game, we need all this to like stop it. I get that, but yeah, I do think that this was basically more of a look at like, when we're in a rebellion and dealing with this type of situation, things aren't just clean cut, and we have a lot of different political things happening here. And you know what else happened? That Princess Leia had some options.
Yes. And what were your thoughts on the matriarchal society?
Not the best representation.
Not the best representation.
Not the best representation. We have talked about many different matriarchal societies in books that we have covered. And I think you and I probably both had the same feelings on this one, where it's like, you're missing the mark here. You're missing the mark. I do not like the way that we have like women who are taking out members of their own line in order to like increase their own status. I don't like the way that bloodline is dealt with in general. I don't like the way that relationships are handled and how we are using and slavery and all of these things. A lot of ick there.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I do think it like the wheel of time of it all is a good one-to-one because they came out during a similar time. I do think there was a very specific view of matriarchal societies that would be very patriarchal in its representation. And you and I have read books now like the Broken Earth trilogy that looks at like motherhood or female-led societies in a very different way. And I do think that is what we would have liked to see. Not to say that this book is enjoyable and it is a moment in time.
And Jemison, I know that you're listening right now, so go ahead and write us some Star Wars books. Go ahead and do that. You have lots of free time, JK. But it would be amazing to like get a take from an author like N.K. Jemisin, who is able to actually effectively write matriarchal societies and women in charge.
Yes.
And see how that pans out in a very popular IP.
Sci-fi. Yeah, I would agree with that. And yeah, I think it just kind of, like you said, it missed the mark. I did think it was interesting to see female-led in the Force, where we don't really see much male Force representation. And I did like to see like they said, again, this isn't a canon book, but like some of the powers were a little bit different with them, where they like control the weather and things like that. And I
Sure.
do think that could have been interesting. Like,
Yeah, and it
having
was
a very
interesting
different
too
look.
from the standpoint of like they were also using a lot of like verbiage when it came to using the Force, and it
Yes.
was explained that it was like a little bit like difficult for them to understand and like wrap their brains around the Force and using
Yes.
it because they were so used
Because
to within their
women being
culture,
king.
yeah,
Yeah.
using like words to manipulate things. So yeah, that was an interesting take on it too.
And but I think at the end of the day, some of my big thoughts were like just some of the representation, because this is a book about a different world and a different time. But
Yeah.
we're always looking at Star Wars as like, yes, it is building this galaxy long, long ago. It's building this like new republic, all of these things, but it is still a representation of where we're at in the world right now. And
Yeah.
so I do think it's very, I don't know, it's very interesting. So
Yeah, and I'd be curious to check out like some other Star Wars books of the like written around the same time to see what other authors are doing. I know like Beth Revis has some Star Wars books that she has written, and I'd be very interested to check out some of hers. I've read some of her other books,
yeah.
and I'd be really interested in check out those and just kind of see what other authors are doing with like similar concepts within this IP.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting to see how people kind of move on or look at these different worlds in a different way.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts on the courtship of Princess Leia?
You know what? 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
10 out of honestly, 10 out of 10 on the rompometer.
It is a romp of a book.
This is a book that will stick with me because it is something, I mean, it is more my speed of like, oh, it's like the romance and it's
It
weird.
is a lot of fun. For all of its issues, a very fun book.
Yeah. Well, I do appreciate you bringing this book to the podcast because
Anytime.
I would never have found it out. As we wrap up, I do want to thank Dead Bird Brewing.
Yes. Thank you so much.
The
This is
podcast.
a wonderful venue here. I just wanted to shout out Dead Bird Brewing is in Milwaukee. Can you get us a location, Hannah?
Yeah. So Dead Bird Brewing is this brewery in Milwaukee. It's actually very important to me. I used to live 4 blocks from here. I used to come here with my dog all the time. It's actually where I had my rehearsal dinner for my wedding. It serves vegan food, and once a month it hosts a book swap. The book swap, you can come in, bring books, and you can pick up new ones and support people. This is a very special event today
Yeah.
because they also had the booksellers from Milwaukee Public Library here selling books and donating their time. So please give them some love. Please look both of them up on Instagram and support them.
Yes.
You can find the booksellers at bookseller_MPL and then at Dead Bird Brewing. I highly recommend everything. I highly recommend the pub nachos here. Please come out and
Wonderful time
support.
here. Honestly, like people are really mingling around and having a good time. I love seeing people just being excited about talking about books. This is a great opportunity for people to make friends and have some nice treats and check out some cool books. So thank you so much to Dead Bird for having us. This is such a delight. I really appreciate this.
Yes, we definitely
And shout out
appreciate
to all the people who showed up to support us today.
Yes.
Hannah, you had a big group of friends and family.
I also
And
have my
your
writing
group that
from
came today. So
Milwaukee.
thank you so much to everyone who came today to support us.
And you can follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok at OWWR Pod. You can also subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. Right now, we are doing a deep dive. We are investigating the Murder Squad
Dublin
series.
Murder Squad by Tana French. Yeah.
Not at all a bummer. And we do have bookmarks, so please grab them while you're here today.
Yes.
And we just want to thank everyone for this amazing time. And hopefully we will hear from you all soon. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.